4:46. So let's wait one more minute and then we'll start. You ready to roll, Daniel?
I'm ready.
Ready? Okay. I'm ready to go. So we will begin. Bezrat Hashem. Okay, everybody say. A couple of auras over here, everybody say. And we'll go into the Sugya Mitzvah Hashem of Halachos of Bishul. First of all, aura is the Rabbi Lieberman asked me like this. He asked me that the Chayah I suggested is machlekes between the Mishnah Berurah and the Aruch HaShulchan Neged Ramosha and the Pri Megadim of what's the din of Kli Shlishi. Is there anything that we ever have to worry about chutz from Kulias Spinus, which is the only thing that the Gemara ever talked about? So the Maisa, there's a Bir Halacha here. It's a very, very small Bir Halacha. This Bir Halacha is sandwiched in between two tremendous mountains. The two biggest Bir Halachas over here in the Simon. There's a little tiny Mishnah Berurah over here. It's called Kulias Spinin. And over there, the Bir Halacha says one line. He says, "V'lev dafke elu, duhu adin lekol kayotze." By that which we say Kulias Spinus has a din that it's the Gemara Malacha through Bishul. You should know that's lav dafka. When this whole halacha that you can have something that actually cooks in the Kli Shlishi, you should know it's lav dafka. It's not just Kulias Spinus. What else is included? Hu adin lekol kayotze bezeh. Hu adin anything else like it. What's like it? Dover dak virach biyoser. Something extremely thin and extremely small. Rambam Perek Tes. It's often a raya, not like Rav Moshe. It's mamsha often a raya. How could Rav Moshe tell us that when it comes to tea doesn't cook in a Kli Shlishi? And he says, Adarabba, you would think even in a Kli Sheni who says it cooks, etc. But certainly not in a Kli Shlishi because we have no reason to believe that it cooks in a Kli Shlishi. So Rav Moshe over here, he tells us a very, very big chiddush over here, l'chayra. Rav Moshe l'chayra is against the Rambam, and now it's a Pri Megadim and Rav Moshe against this Rambam. The Rambam seems to say anything extremely small and extremely soft could yes be included in a Kli Shlishi, in the Bishul of a Kli Shlishi. Now, you have to know, first of all, where the Rambam got this from. It's very interesting. It's also where the Rambam know this from, right? And another thing you have to point out is tavlin. Tavlin, spices, is a good dogma of something which is very small and very thin. And we know first the Gemara says that it doesn't cook tavlin, spices don't cook on the Kli Sheni. Now that's not the worst question, because it could be one of two things, and both of them might be true. Number one is maybe tavlin is something that the tavlin that the Paiskim were talking about, they weren't ground up so much. Number two is that even if they are ground up, but maybe you'll say it's something like a tavlin, you have a Kabbalah on a tavlin, and therefore even when it's ground up totally to the fullest extent, excuse me, even when it's ground up to the fullest extent, so perhaps a tavlin, which is ground up to the fullest extent, doesn't get that status of something that was born dak virach. But if something was born dak virach, like a tea leaf was born very, very thin and very, very small, etc., so then maybe such a thing, daka, would have a din of a super Kali Bishul, and that's really the Raya Berurah to the Mishnah Berurah and the Aruch HaShulchan. So the Shaila is what's taka the pshat in Rav Moshe. Now, Rabbi Lieberman asked me this before the shir. I didn't get a chance to look into it yet, and I plan on looking into it. Rabbi Silberman, when you sent the letter, you sent now an answer to this or some different aura? Because if it's an answer, I'll look at it. No, so I'll look at it after. Balkaponim, it's taka a little bit of a. It's a little bit of a pella. I don't know. Like that. It's a little bit of a pella. The Mishnah Berurah Taka brings a Rambam. I have to look into this. It's one aura. Mitzvah Shem will come back to it. Another aura is I was asked, which I mentioned this already, but I'll say it again. I was asked about the klipa on the challah, and I said over that the klipa, the frost on the challah is not considered a klipa. It's a ma'isa. The emes is that when you look into your challah, I looked today into my freezer because it was. We were defrosting it, and I looked at that. I took out a challah of all things, and you saw it also. I've been seeing, and you see what you see over there. The ma'isa, it's mamish. Anybody who ever done the shaila of a challah with frost and called it a klipa is a tema rabasti, because there's no such thing that a challah gets frozen over all the way around and frost all around. It's just not like that, unless maybe they had like a deep freezer, some old Yerushalmi freezer. It's that you get frost in the nooks and crannies. I can't imagine anybody saying that such a thing is considered a klipa. If that's a klipa, then bayr is canceled because what's the difference between that and peas and carrots? I don't even begin to understand what the tzad is now of the achrein of the dan that it's a klipa, and it's a davar pashit. That's number two. Number three is now I'm going to read you a couple of interesting things over here by side. And this is again like some interesting auras over here. There's a Mishnah Brura. There's a Rav Moshe Feinstein, our Rabbi, Igros Moshe Zechet Tzadik Levroche, in Chelik Beis in Simin, or Chaim Chelik Beis, obviously, in Simin Pei Hey. And the name of the tshuva, which he writes over here to Rav Shimon Shron. We have to find out if this is related to Ara Shron. He wrote this in 1961. He's discussing something, and the emissaries, the oilim themselves were somewhat asking me about this. I keep talking about tea scents, and I keep talking about tea leaves in general. I never talk about these eitzes. How come we don't find today people doing these eitzes? Like, taking the tea leaves and roasting them in the oven and then using them on Shabbos and whatever, all these different idainim. That's not the biggest kasha. We do things that are easy in our world. But Akapanim, listen to the interesting grade over here. The Ramesh is discussing tea leaves that were dried out on the fire. Are they called mivoshal? You see, this was like in 1961. This is what Rabbi Shron over here was trying to figure out. What's the normal way of doing things? Akapanim, he says like this. He says, Hine, going with Moshe. Hine olim shel tea, Hashem misyab shel eish. He says, even though you dry it down in the fire, push it, that they're not mivoshal. You can't say ein bishul achar bishul, because he said that's not called bishul. You're being sli. You're roasting it, which if anything we'll see in a minute. We're going to learn today that there's a whole sugya of yesh bishul achar tzli, that there is a bishul process once it had its sli processed onto it. And over here, all it is a roasting process. So he says there's no question that that's a vada. You're not going to say ein bishul achar bishul, and you're not going to be allowed to pour on it from a kli rishon. He says ulai, maybe we consider it nefa. And if it's considered nefa, so then there is yes bishul achreim, which is sifei, which in Mitzvah Shem we're going to learn. Then he says, the only need that you could dan is if you misbashel it in mayim. No, it says the only time we say, he goes through a little bit of the sugya. He says ein bishul achar bishul is only when something was cooked, and he brings down that the Ramah is taka machmir. The Ramah says the minig is to be machmir in a klisheni when it's yatzel despite that you're not supposed to put things that were baked or roasted into even a klisheni. So he says, Aval, listen to this, very interesting, Ramesha. He says, you know what? You should know, if you'd ask me, I would tell you tea leaves are not considered something that was roasted and included in the shaila of yesh bishul achar afiyah. No, I don't think so. I think a tea leaf, says Ramesha, even after you dry it out in the fire, it's not afiyah. Listen to Ramesha, this should sound like Ramesha Shitasai. He says, it's not afiyah. Ubishul, shiasa shinui badavar. This is not, what is bishul? We mentioned this Ramesha on the first day, Rabbi say. He says, hooray, when it comes to oil, shemen, even though the yad salet is by, there's no bishul. Hooray, kevin yad salet by. What do you mean? Oil, when you put it, there's a man that says when you get it up to yad salet is by, it's still not called bishul. It says, hooray, ma lanu yoiser. What more could you do to oil than make it yad salet? And even that's not called bishul. So he said, what's the reason why? It must be that bishul means that it has to do eiz shinui. Or if you take a leaf and you dry it out, you dry it to death in the fire. So he says you didn't do any shinui. As my bishul. It's not exercise cause of fire item bishul. No, it's fire that caused a certain result and totzah in the item. So drying something out is not necessarily bishul. He says either Rambam talks about soft and hard. He says, of course, because there was shinui. But drying out ba'alma is just making something that is hard, harder. He says, what do you think that's called? Bishul, chen, kevin, shli, adinan. I don't know what kind of shina that is. So he says, I don't even think it's included in the regular machlekes of afiyah with bishul achar afiyah. He says, this I think is not called bishul. So that means that a leaf that you dried, it's as if you did nothing to it. And therefore, you have to aser in a klisheni, because it's taka like everything else that you have to worry about. And therefore he says you should do like the Mishnah Brura says over here and Sivkat and Lametaz. Now, there's two things I see in this Ramosha. One is the aside in Bishul. That's number one. That Bishul has to create a shino, etc. Number two is, I see from Moshe over here is that he tells you, by the way, go do like the Mishnah Brura when it comes to making tea scents. Now, it's with Ramosha's kulas, with making a klishlishi and putting a tea bag in a klishlishi. Ramosha himself did not tell you, do this. Ramosha told you it's mutter. But if you ask Ramosha, what should I do? Over here, the guy in Ramosha is telling you, do like the Mishnah Brura and make tea sets. And the Maisa, I spoke to an Einikel of Ramesha. He said it's known by them in the family that even though Ramesha was Mekel on a Kli Shlishi, but Ramesha himself had Chumras Gedolos. He used to take the tea, listen to Mamish Chumras Gedolos. He used to make the sense, keep it on the fire on Shabbos, and then he would take the hot sense and then pour it into the water. Khomeini was also being machmer on the tzviya and everything, all the chumras, right? Even we weren't that machmer. The Mishabur told us you take hot water and then you can pour the sense into the hot water. But Rav Moshe had with the ganze kula for Rav Moshe, to actually go and do like Rav Moshe's kula, I don't know. I don't know. That's one Nakuda in Rav Moshe. Another Nakuda in Rav Moshe that I'd like to read to the Olam over here is this other Rav Moshe is in Dalid, Ayin Dalid, in Ois Yud Ches. This is the next volume of Igros Moshe. In Ois Yud Ches over here, the Rav Moshe says, a very interesting Rav Moshe also. He's talking about onions. We're going to learn this from Moshe properly when we get to the Sugya of Klisheni. He's talking about taking onions and garlic and putting it into a Klisheni and whatever. Then he writes in the second paragraph over here, he says, Val coffee ain't a mavushal. Now we're going to learn in Mitzvah Shem. Nobody get nervous. We're going to have coffee day. I know you're all nervous and it's not going to be today. So I guess it's Shabbos. Figure yourselves out. Val coffee ain't a mavushal. Became cocoa. Who rack tavlin? So that's a tavlin. Now you've heard from me many times already that a tavlin, certain spices, there seems to be a Kabbalah from Chazal. We don't know which, and we don't know what, and we don't know how small. We're going to learn all this. But there is some type of Kabbalah from Chazal that tavlin don't get cooked in a klisheni. There's no problem. And tavlin is like water and oil, that there's no problem in a klisheni. It's a Mishnah. The tavlin you can put in a klisheni. So he says, l'chayra, it's vaday bichlal tavlin. Avada, coffee and cocoa, b'vaday are tavlin, and you can put them in a klisheni. B'vaday, Moshe. Then came the first in the Mishnah that a klisheni is no problem. In other words, once I tell you that coffee and cocoa are tavlin, so therefore coffee and cocoa you can put inside a klisheni. Okay? He says, "V'tamua al machikosev ha'orich hashulchan, who's machmer in a klisheni and gam in a klishlishi. The kain mashma in the Mishnah Berurah, she'oiser gam coffee, shu kafe b'klisheni misham de'ishtvarim hamisbashal b'klisheni." He says, what in the world is the Mishnah Berurah and the Aruch HaShulchan discussing coffee that they want to say it's usher in klisheni, they want to say it's usher in klishlishi? And no, right now we're talking about uncooked coffee, Rabbi Sitko. Mitzvah Shem, we're going to learn about cooked coffee. Oh, that's a whole different sugya. And he's saying an unbelievable cool over here, Moshe. He's saying even uncooked coffee. He says, Avad, it's tavlin. And you can put it even inside a klisheni. And then he goes, listen to the words in Ramesha. It answers me up something which bothered me so much. He says, Bishlama alete, Bishlama tea, I can understand the Mishnah Berurah and the Aruch HaShulchan. I can understand their chumras and that they want to say it's also in klisheni, and we just saw Rav Moshe himself said you can't do it in a klisheni. I can understand the nidan. Why? That's not a tavlin. Why? Efshar loy nechshav tavlin, deheim loy nitnu l'taima. Tea is not for taste. Ella lemara. It's only given for its look. Ve'enam bichlal tavlin. That's not a part of tavlin. But he says, Mashenken, coffee and cocoa, of course it's for taste. There's no suffix tzarchian. He says, Lamaisa, tzarech al-kapanim, you should be machmer in a klisheni. Grada, even though it's tzarchian, she says you shouldn't do it in a klisheni, but coffee you can make in a klishlishi. I can't Rav Moshe. If I say, this Rav Moshe is l'chayr l'shitatzai of something that we spoke about yesterday, which didn't make so much sense. And I don't mean to mezalzachli. I mean, but it's very difficult to understand. Rav Moshe before said, when he's arguing on the Aruch HaShulchan, he says, why is it that you Aruch HaShulchan want to be machmir in a kli shlishi? Because you're saying that when you take the tea bag and you put it in hot water, it colors it. Says Rav Moshe, no, it'll color it in a kli rishon also. It'll color it in a cold water also. Who said anything about coloring? Who said anything about coloring? It seems to be that Rav Moshe has some kind of understanding that the mitzias of tea is that the taste of tea. I don't know what tea Rav Moshe was talking about, and I don't know, I don't know if Rav Moshe appreciated a good cup of tea. I don't know, but Rav Moshe seems to be learning that the whole mitzias of tea is not its taste. He keeps talking about the color of tea, and I don't know where to go with this. And Rabbi Lieberman, who since the Boston Tea Party has been Kanira suffering because he's writing all these messages about not tetli and everything and whatever. So I don't know myself. Rabbi say even I don't know like that. Maybe I don't know. I don't understand it. and there's something going on here. So these are two auras that I'm speaking about. One is Rabbi Lieberman's aura from the Bir Halacha that we have to discuss and see if it's mefurish like the Mishabur anyways. And now we have this other aura that Ramosha seemed to have an understanding in tea, that the purpose of tea is not for taste, which of course is very difficult. Obviously Ramosha had a tea and you knew what tea was. It obviously is Megal and some type of alumnus, but it's very, very difficult to understand what exactly Ramosha means over here. Very difficult. I'll take suggestions if anybody would like. Until then, Tachlis Lamaisa, how to make the tea this Shabbos. So I'm bothered by something else. And now I'll reveal to you another thing which seems to be bothering me. My psychologist says I should get these things off my chest. There's another issue over here that I see the Shevet Levi seems to me over here. Tea is just a way to get a bit extra sugar into the system, right? Rabbi Slansky, you need help. Okay, and now there's 76 people that know all about it, and that is not the purpose of tea, right? And there are pills for what you just described, and right? Tea is a chefza tea. I see you don't understand what a tea is. I drink tea. Okay, my wife drinks tea without sugar, right? But after I got married to an English woman, I actually drink tea now. I understand that there's a value in tea. I and it's not just English tea. It's not just Mr. Lipton over here. Look at Rabbi Hirschhoff. Look at him. He's pounding it right now. Right? Look, you see his fingers shaking back and forth from drinking so much tea. Upon him. That's one issue. Another issue is over here is what I see in the Shevet HaLevi. The Shevet HaLevi in Chelik Aleph in Siman Sadi brings down Echsam Sefer. The truth is, it's not just Echsam Sefer, it's also the Mamshik, with the Talmud Echsam Sefer is Meirich on this, but the Echsam Sefer is the Makor of this Indian, that the Echsam Sefer in Siman Ein Dal, that's tshuva that we discussed. I saw this when we saw the Chasam Sefer a few days ago. I didn't moyer it to the Oilam because I wasn't sure if the Chasam Sefer was going with the tzad or not going with the tzad, so I didn't bring it up. I see how the Shevet HaLevi is very troubled by the tzad. He says an interesting idea. He dines on some amanim. Some amanim themselves are the berries, these the dye that you make the dye, and we know that the example in the Mishkan of Bishul was the berries themselves. The berries. They used to cook up the berries. And without going into it, there's actually tells about this. It seems to be the way they used to make these berries. They used to cook up the water and cook up the berries, and the more and more dye would come out. And it seems to be that the quintessential dogma of Bishul, this is the Mishkan Dika dogma of Bishul, was a dogma that they used to do Bishul achar Bishul. They used to take the same berries and they used to go and cook them more and get more and more dye out of them. And the Chasam Sefer dance with this. They're very busy with this idea. And the Chasam Sefer wants to say, I'm reading you from the Shevet HaLevi now. He says, it's like Shaykh Bishul achar Bishul. He's discussing there about coffee. And he says, it's not Shaykh Bishul achar Bishul when it comes to coffee, because he says it's just like Bishul Saman Manim. The Hainu Mishum Du'ei B'Shem Goyin Echad, that in the way the Metzias was, is that there were some people that would eat the actual coffee. They would put the coffee in the coffee itself, and they would actually drink the coffee with the granules. I'm not talking about instant coffee. That's a whole separate parsha. That they would actually drink the coffee, something like a Turkish coffee or something. And then there were people that they would do it the way we make a filtered coffee. They would just get the Gutzkeit, the juice out of the coffee. So he says, look, if you're drinking the actual coffee, then it's shaykh to talk about Bishul, Taka'ain Bishul achar Bishul. He says, but if all you're doing is you're taking from a filter and you're remavashling it, so then that doesn't go into necessarily the parsha of Ein Bishul achar Bishul. And is it sad to say that even though you cooked it once, there could be cooking calls man that liquid comes out, calls man that the taste comes out. He brings this idea, the Mamshik discusses his idea, and the Shevet HaLevi says that when it comes to tea, everyone should agree. And he wants to use this to argue on the Mishabura. Because the Mishabura brings down over here, if you cook the tea leaves, now you can take those same tea leaves and put them and use them on Shabbos. If you want to, this is an eitzah, but we spoke about that Chasam Sefer. You could take the tea, cook the tea, actual leaves, and let's say mamash kli rishon, whatever, and now dry the leaves, like we spoke about, and now pour water onto the tea bag on Shabbos. That was an eitzah the Mishabura would seem to concur with, because you already cooked the tea. Now let's make it into a kli rishon without getting involved in the Iyar. You mamish cook the tea. You put the tea bag in a kli rishon and your mamish cooked it. And now you dry it. And now you take the bag and you'll pour boiling hot water onto it on Shabbos because it's previously cooked. Says the Chassam Sofer that you can't do that. Why? Zog the Chassam Sofer because it's tzad in the Chassam Sofer. Zog the Chassam Sofer, there's a tzad in the Chassam Sofer that's like some imanim that yesh bishul oilom, because kol zman that I pour on the hot water and more comes out and more comes out. So then there is yes bishul just to me at the some imanim, and therefore he doesn't like this. And he ends off with tzarchian. He says for shteitzach after some time, if you did this 5 times already, there's nothing left and whatever. Okay, but it seems to be that the Shevet Levi is bothered with that eitzah. Now there's a few. I want to go through all the eitzahs and show you each one of them has an issue over here. I'll just give you an example. I made a tea today. When I made a tea, I had a tea bag, okay, and I poured the boiling hot water into the cup. That's how most people do it, right? And then that's it. And I had my tea. Okay. Now, Rabbi say, I realized most people, that's how they make tea essence, correct? That's how they make tea essence. What do? They take the bag, they put it in the cup, they pour boiling hot water, and they say kol tuv, right? That's, I think, am I right? I think that's what most people do when they're making tea essence. Oh, and then what do? Then they take the cup of hot water and they pour in, because even though it's cold, that's fine. Now, the way I described it, it probably is fine. But I just want to show you that you didn't just do what the Mishnah Berurah said. Watch. The Mishnah Berurah says you should take leaves and you should pour boiling hot water on the leaf as you shake around the leaf. Okay? And then afterward, now, says the Mishnah Berurah, those leaves, says the Mishnah Berurah, you can go and pour boiling hot water. That's what Mishnah Berurah is talking about. Okay. Now, basically, when I do that, I have the option now, says the Mishnah Berurah. I could take the leaf or I could take the liquid. Now, basically, the liquid that you took, be'emes, is coming from a cooked tea bag. I want to show you what the issue is here. Watch. Let's say on Shabbos, I want to take that tea bag. I poured boiling hot water onto that tea bag on Erev Shabbos. Did you cook the leaves in the tea bag? No, you didn't, because the leaves themselves are blocked by this bag. Okay, so all that you did was the water hit the. We know Iyar is only mevashel lekadei klipa. It only is mevashel the outer layer. So when you take a tea bag, what you're doing is you're cooking what? The outside klipa. That's what you did. Let's see. It might not be problems. I just want to speak out clear to explain what we're doing here. You're cooking the outside klipa. You probably didn't cook the leaf, because think about it. The leaf is blocked by the bag. It has little tiny holes, but probably it's getting blocked by the bag. Look here. Now you take just 1 moment, right? I see everyone putting the essence into the hot water. Yeah, we're going to get there in a second. But now watch. Now I have this bag. The outside layer was cooked by a klipa. The actual leaves were only cooked in a kli sheni. Okay? Just to understand what we're talking about here. The leaves were never cooked in a kli rishon because the water went onto the outside bag. So the leaves themselves were never cooked in a kli rishon. Just to realize that. Now, it's not such an afkamina, because who cares, right? What I'm doing now is I'm taking that water, which was cooked in a kli sheni, and now it's cold. And I'm taking that cold water and I'm putting it into a kli sheni. But this is a little bit tricky, because we said, what are you allowed to put into a kli sheni? We said you're allowed to put into a kli sheni a lach that was nisbashal and it's stanin. Now this lach was nisbashal. It's a little bit interesting. I guess it doesn't matter, because it was nisbashal in a kli sheni, and I guess the kli sheni that you're putting it into is not doing any more bishul than where it's coming from. But just to understand what we're doing, we'll see why it makes a difference in a moment. But look, that's what's taking place. Does everybody understand what I'm saying, first of all? Right? In other words, the bag only got cooked the outside klipa. The leaf only got cooked in a kli sheni. Now I take that essence, which is water from a kli sheni that was cooked, and I'm putting her into a kli sheni. Just to understand what we're doing over here. Look, now, no, the nafkamina Rabbi is going to be, for sure, don't take that bag on Shabbos. And, a person can make a mistake after reading this whole Mishnah Berurah. And he can say, look, I'm at the back. I'll tell you a story, Ma'aseh Shaya, just to bring out my point. There was somebody in the shul, in the Wintersman, on a Friday night, and the Oilam had finished up the tea sense. It was Friday night, and, the Oilam was learning Torah in the base medrash on a Friday night, and the tea sense was finished. And, it was like, let's say, a cup this big with the tea sense. and everyone used the tea stands and everything. Shalom Yisrael. The last guy comes in, and there's over there what's left in the cup, just the tea bag, this dried out tea bag, because everybody finished it. So now he came over to me and he asked me a shaila. He asked me like this. He said, "Can I take the hot water and pour it straight on the tea bag?" And then he said, "And even if not, can I take the tea bag and put it into a klisheni?" You see the case over here, Rabbi Say? Interesting shit, right? Interesting story over here. So I told him to pour it straight on the tea bag. You can't do that. I have to be chayshish, that even though I said before that probably the hot water touches the outside layer and therefore doesn't cook the leaves, but I also have to be chayshish the other way, that when I'm going to pour the boiling hot water on the tea bag, I have to chayshish that maybe some water is going to go through the net and get to the leaf, right? Now, could he take that tea, which was anyways cooked in a klisheni, and now go and cook it again in a klisheni? In other words, it was already in a klisheni, so you're not doing any more bishul. If your old klisheni was mevashal the first time, so it would be mevashal the second time, right? And even if it's a little bit epis wet or something like that, but what's that wetness? That wetness is lach that was nitztanen. There was things that were cooked that were nitztanen. So I thought that you would be allowed to take a cup of water, hot water, and then put that previously tea bag that was placed into a klisheni and now put it into another klisheni. Does everybody agree to me? It broke out a huge world war in the shul. Does everybody agree? Seveya. So we say ain't svia b'oichlin. It's true. It's not svia. There would be an issue, but that's the Iyar din. Mishabrovier's meiko. World War. Yeah, no, I'm the Rav of an Israeli shul. That's not a kasha. That's not a kasha. That's not a kasha. Everyone agrees. Okay, you know what? I want you to think about it. It's not so simple what I said. And I want you to think about it. What would be the problem? You guys have to work a little bit. What's happened in the Bissel? What's happened in the Bissel? According to Moshe, the point of the tea is the color. That's interesting, not the time. Interesting time. Those are different issues that I want them to think about. There's one more kudo here I want to read you. The Or Letzion, Rabbeinu Agadol, Rabbi Tzion Abba Shaul. He says like this. He says in Chelik Bet, in Perek Lamed, Ha'ara Gimel. He says that he has the kasha that why don't we say that tea is a tavlin, the kasha that we keep on talking about. So we saw that Ramesha seems to say it's not a tavlin because it's only for its color, which is something difficult to understand, but that's what Ramesha says. But the Or Letzion has the same kasha. And he says, do you know why a tea is not a tavlin? He says, Mikol makom tzarich loymar da'ayri betavlin kosha, aval tavlin rach k'moy avle tei, yesh lacha shehu mekali abishal. He says, this tavlin is a different type of tavlin. Now, what I don't understand is that he goes on to say that he is of the opinion, the Gain Rabbi Tzion Abba Shaul, that you can actually put tea into a klishlishi, which is what we spoke about yesterday. He's of the opinion. I'll just read you his lashon. It's in a different place. 1 second. Sorry, everybody say. Sorry, everybody say. Not so sure, actually. I'm not so sure. All I know is that this lashon of the Or Letzion, Rabbi Say, would be very, very, very good. This is what the Chernobyler Maggid is saying. I don't know who's the Chernobyler Maggid. You have a Maggid over here? That's so cool. Oh my goodness, I have the Maggid from Chernobyl that listens to my share. Wow, I feel very good now. If it's out there, you know who it is? Who is it? Who's the Chernobyl Maggid? Akapanim. According to this, Rabbi Tzion Abba Shaul is saying that Hagufa, this is the answer to the kasha. If you have that's the Rambam. If something is rach v'dak, it's something which is so thin and it's so extremely dark, so then that would, yes, potentially be cooking even in a klishlishi. So this is, I think we definitely have to be mavar this a little bit more. He goes on here, he says, in the Or Letzion, he goes on, he says, but what you could do is, is you could pour from hot water. No, it is Mefresh. He says you could pour from hot water of a klisheni onto a sakite. He goes with even Ramosha basically, that you could take a klisheni of hot water and pour it on to uncooked tea bags. Why? Because he says, because ein iroi mevashal elikade klipa. Because he says the iroi is not mevashal elikade klipa. So therefore the iroi is only going to mevashal the bag, and then it'll be sitting in a kli shlishi, and therefore it's not a problem. Now, first of all, what he's saying is very debatable. I looked at a tea bag today. I'm sure there are some drops that can go through the netting. So I don't know if he's worried about klisheni and iroi of a klisheni. I'm not sure why he's not worried. I don't understand it. And second of all, once we see in the Rambam that something that's rach v'dak, and he's saying tea leaves are rach v'dak, and that's why they're not a tavlin. So then why isn't he worried that it cooks even in a kli shlishi? So tachlis make you see. Come over here. We have a few hours we have to down on. First of all, is tea leaf a mefurish Rambam that you have to be machmer in a kli shlishi? That's debatable. Tea leaves that are baked, where Moshe wants to say there was no bishul process that took place to them because nothing changed. That's number two. Number three is we have a new need about tea. That tea itself is something that is constant bishul, constant bishul, constant bishul. So maybe this bishul oilam even after the leaves were once baked. Number four is that the bag that you used, the actual bag you used, l'chayra, if you put it into a klisheni, l'chayra, there's no reason why you can't take that bag and put it into a new klisheni, l'chayra. That's something that perhaps would require further Ian, but perhaps not, etc. Okay, that's another nidin, and we're good. Okay, now we start the sugi. Any questions? Everybody say. Any questions? Where did the Mishabura have the right to add tea as a super kali bishul? So that, according to this, it's a Rambam. Now there's no kasha official. There's a Rambam. The Rambam says first anything that's dak virach, and that's what the Orlatzin is saying. Why it's not even called a tavlin? It's gevaldik what the Mishabura is saying. See this? It's nifla demayim. Halach l'maisa. Bottom line sikum. Bottom line sikum is that the way you should make your tea cents in Arab Shabbos is you have probably the best thing to do is to pour the water straight onto the tea bag and then let it sit afterward in the klisheni. Now you'll have this tea sense. And on Shabbos, you take water from the urn, and then afterwards you could pour in from that sense, even though the sense is cold, and that you could be mekel. That's what to do for this Shabbos. It could be that we might have other things to talk about after Shabbos, but that's what you do for this Shabbos. V'shalom al Yisrael. Moshe, no, I missed that one. How come even if it's cold? Because the Mishnah Berurah is mekel on a klisheni, on a liquid that was nitztanen. It's in saying bishul bishul b'davar is a machlekes, and so this liquid was nitztanen. So the liquid you could go and put now onto the
water.
I said, now that I think about it, I don't know. The tea bag, maybe the fight that they had with me in the tea bag is because is the Chsam Sofer. Maybe the tea bag, the tiny Chsam Sofer. According to the Chsam Sofer, even though I cooked it once in a klisheni, but if you the Chsam Sofer, you can cook it more. If you the Chsam Sofer, I know the Mishnah Berurah doesn't seem to be chayshish for that, but it's not so push it. Maybe once you cooked it, but since it's like samamonim, it can get more and more gekocht and more cooked. So maybe you shouldn't do it to the tea bag. You should only do it to the actual liquid. Can I ask someone to make it for me in a kli shlishi if he holds like that? Interesting question. It's hard to ask a Jew that just read the Aruch HaShulchan, and the Aruch HaShulchan says that it's mamish like chayiv misa. It's hard to ask a Jew that kind of question. You have any other questions? I don't know. I guess, Moshe is so big. I don't know. Moshe is so big. I don't know. Yeah, Victor Grazi, I know what he wants from me. The Orla Tzion. I know what he wants from me. Moshe is very big. I don't know. You shouldn't do it lechatchila. If you want to know, I don't know. To go and ask a Jew to make an klishlishi when the Mishnah Berurah says you chayiv misa, I don't know. If he made it for you, you don't have to throw it back in their nose, right? But I don't know, to go and ask them to do it. I don't know. There's something here which I can't. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. This gets involved in the shiloh of something that you hold is obviously we don't hold it's usher. For Moshe holds it's mutter. You can't say that you're big enough to say it's usher, so you can't say it's like lifnei Iyar, and you can't say it's like Amir Yisrael. But there's something still that bothers me over here. If somebody would do it, I wouldn't throw him out of the kotel. right? But I might not take him lechatchila. That's the, or maybe the opposite. Maybe I'd throw him out of the kollel, but I would take him lechatchila because I could change. No, I don't know. I have to think about it. There's something here I don't like. I don't know. Let's go right there. I'll think about it. There's a lot with tea, Bez Hashem, and we'll talk about it, Bez Hashem. Now, basically, let's start Bez Hashem. The truth is that when it comes to the sugya of thermos, I mentioned yesterday. I do want to say one more thing. I saw over here. I had from the OU booklets. They asked this question to Rebelsky, about all these inyanim with the thermos and whatnot. So they bring down the lashon like this: the thermoses and styrofoam cups are designed to preserve heat. Since the leniencies associated with the keli sheni stem from the cooling effect of the walls of the vessel, Rebelsky has stated that the thermoses and styrofoam cups do not have the status of a kli sheni when receiving food and beverage from a kli rishon. Unbelievable. In other words, this is negay kashrus also, Rabbi says. Negay has so many things. It's a very, very big chumrah that the Rebelsky has over here. And the truth is, I find it to be such a big chiddush. It's such a big chiddush because, first of all, the Tosfos' lashon, like we saw, is that you had on the walls, when you don't have the walls of the kli rishon giving it that heat. So we saw there's a big machlekes about a davar gush, and maybe a davar gush is that exact shaila. That a davar gush is something that doesn't have the walls, right? On the other hand, the davar gush is something that doesn't have the walls giving it the heat, but it also doesn't have the walls that are cooling it down. And that's l'char. Now, the truth is, why should I think that when I take water and I put it into a kli sheni, even if it's a thermos, even if it's styrofoam cup, it probably does cool it down to mashu. It has to cool it down to mashu, l'chayra. I would imagine that it cools it down to mashu. In the stomach, I think that's probably the mitzias, right? Because the walls themselves are probably, no matter what, something happens when you put it into a wall. Elamite, but it retains it. And it takes a long, long time for it to lose that heat. That's the idea of a thermos and of this. So it just, we're going to come back to it when we learn davar gush. I just wanted to read you that from Rebelsky. But now let's start Bez Hashem. Let's start Sifei. Now Sifei, Rabbi say, Sifei, yeah, Bez Hashem, we'll see. What about kli sheni, which has hot walls? What's the Metzias? If it's a kli, what was it? You heated it up on the fire. If you heated it onto the fire, so then that l'chayr is like a kli rishon. Now, Rabbi say, Shimu schi nafshechem. Listen to over here what the makor of Sifhei is. The Yereim was always scared, right? Yereim had tremendous Yer Shemayim, and the Yereim is also brought in the smag. He was a very, very big. He had so much Yer Shemayim, so he came here with a very big chiddush. Aval yesh bish, we know ein bishul. This is the Yereim and Reish Ayin Dalet, right? And the Yereim says ein bishul achar bishul, and ein sli achar sli, and ein afi achar afia. If you take a piece of potato kugel and you heat up the potato kugel again, ein afi achar afia. If you take a piece of schnitzel and you heat it up, ein sli achar sli. And if you take, let's say, knedlach that were cooked inside a chicken soup, and then after, boiling hot chickens, they cooked up and whatever. And then afterward, you have these dry knedlach. I don't want to get involved in the droplet shiloh and whatever, but you have these dry knedlach. And now you want to take it, and they're cold from the fridge. You want to put them inside the soup. You don't want to put it in your bowl because you want them to get boiling hot. So you put them in the kli rishon, not on the fire. But you take off the pot. You know how it is. You take off the pot, and then you put the knedlach in there. And now you want to serve it like that. Are you allowed to put them to teretz? Yes, of course, because ein bishul achar bishul, ein tzli achar tzli, ein afi achar afia. But says the Reim, aval yesh bishul achar tzli, the yesh tzli achar bishul. You do have bishul achar tzli because the process of bishul is one type of softening, and therefore once that was done, but the tzli that takes place afterward is a drying process, and it makes a whole different taste. The tzli taste is different than a bishul taste, or yesh bishul achar tzli, and therefore if you have a piece of bread and you want to put a bread inside a kli rishon, for example, so then you took that bread and you changed it into a whole different chavtza. All right, we know when it comes to matzah, you might not be yotzei matzah anymore once you put it in there, depending on the size, etc. Says there, Hilchos, says the Ray, and he continues, he says, now that I'm telling you yesh bishul achar tzli and tzli achar bishul, so yesh davar mispashal b'kli sheni. He says there are things that are mispashal in the kli sheni. How do I know there are things that are mispashal in the kli sheni? Says the Ray, like we spoke out yesterday, In other words, this Uraim is a double whammy. I have no word for that in English, Rabbi said. It's a double whammy, right? Rabbi Bolzim will explain it to them afterward. First of all, says the Uraim, that now that we see that the Gemara has a suffix, that salt is maybe nispashal neklisheni, and the Gemara has two tzadim, that even though we said nothing is nispashal neklisheni, but there's a tzad that salt is yes nispashal neklisheni. So now says the Uraim, the maskan of the Gemara, the way we paskin, which we'll learn in Mitzvah Shem and Tzif Test, is that salt is not nispashal neklisheni, but the Gemara didn't chayzer on the whole premise, says the Uraim. We could have learned that was good for what the Gemara is saying. The salt is bashal klisheni, and the Gemara's answer is no. The salt is not bashal klisheni because nothing is bashal klisheni. Says the Rebbe, no shaykhis. That's not what the Gemara is saying. And he's right. You look at the Gemara; it's not what the Gemara says. The Gemara says salt is totally different. It takes a long time to cook salt, and therefore it only cooks on the fire. But the premise of the Gemara opened up the door for us to believe that there are items that do cook in a klisheni. As I bezoi zok the Uraim. So now I don't know what cooks in a cliche. Now I know water and oil do not, and I know that salt maybe also does not, but I don't know about everything else in the middle. I don't know what else. Says the Uraim. You have to be machmar on everything. Says the Uraim. For example, I just told you that bread is something which has a din bishul achar tzli, because tzli is one type and bishul is a new process. So I just told you chumrah number one or chiddush number one is that there's bishul after tzli. When something was tzli and now you do a bishul to it, that process is considered a bishul process. And we don't say ein bishul achar tzli. We say yes, once you baked it, now if you cook it, yesh bishul achar tzli. So now that I said that, and I also don't know which things cook in a klisheni, I don't know what's called kale bishul. So the mela zakti reim, I have to worry that bread not only does it cook chiddush number one in a klisheni, in a klirishan, but maybe it also cooks in a klisheni. And says Yiraim, you have to be machmir, and that's brought over here in the Shulchan Aruch and Sifei yesh mishaymer. Davar shenafo nitzla in bishul achar kach b'mashke yesh b'mishum bishul chiddush number one yesh bishul achar tzli. Even in a klirishan, it's a chiddush, Rabbi Isai. Even in a klirishan, you could have heard that once it had a bishul process to it. So now anything you're doing is like mitzvah for yafalai, and there's no more bishul process once it already had a bishul process to it. You can't soila after you bishul. You can't bishul after you soil. Kamashul and says the Shulchan Aruch yesh mishamer. Number one, not like that. And if you do it in a klirishan, so then that's a problem. Number two is the aser litain pas afilu b'klisheni. And not only that, so also we have to be chayshish. The Shulchan Aruch just snuck in here. That's how the Mishnah Berurah explains it. He snuck in here the chumrah of kale bishul. In other words, we have here number one, the etzem idea of kale bishul. Number two is when we're going to apply the kale bishul, we're going to apply it to this new case of yesh bishul achar tzli and yesh tzli achar bishul. Says the Shulchan Aruch, v'yesh matirim. It's a fight. What's exactly the v'yesh matirim going on? Because there's two chedushim over here. So the Mishnah Berurah right away says, "Sfir le ein klisheni mevashal b'shum davar." The Yesh Matirim, they argue on the whole premise. They say, no. We're not discussing now if Yesh Bishul achar tzli or Yesh tzli achar bishul. But what we are discussing over here is that klisheni you're saying is mevashal. No, we hold klisheni is never mevashal. Then says the Shulchan Aruch, the Ramah, the next line, the Yesh Makilan of the Klirishan. That was the other chiddush of the Shulchan Aruch. First of all, we argue maybe there's nothing that cooks in a klisheni at all. Number one. Number two is that maybe bread doesn't cook even in a klirishan because ain bishul achar tzli, ain tzli achar bishul. Then he says v'nogul izayer, but the minhag says there must yes to be machmar on both of these chumras and not to put bread even in a klisheni calls man that the Iyar is saledis by. That is the Pashup Pshat in the Shulchan Aruch. No, so what does it mean, L'maiser Rabbi Wolf? It means that there are some people that the Shulchan Aruch talk about people that took like bread, and he said, don't take your bread and dip it inside a klirishin. Don't even dip it inside your soup bowl into a klisheni, right? But Rabbi Wolf, he's not interested in that. He wants to take cake and put it inside his soup. I'm sorry, coffee. He wants to put it inside his soup. Yeah, soup, sorry. So he wants to take cake and put it inside his soup. So this is a nafkamina. Number one, the cake is gebakt, it's baked, and you want to take this cake and you want to put it inside your soup. So then the Chumrah over here says you can't even put it into a klisheni. Says the Mishnah Berurah, klishlishi. No, that's already you could. Challah in the soup, cake in the tea, all these things. As I did the Rebbe. Now, Rabbi saying, so now like this, very interesting grade over here. First of all, where's the Negea? They have these things in Eretz Yisrael. They're called Shkede Mark. Over there, Micha, they have them over there, Darton and Lakewood, right? In Wood Lake over there, they have them. Yeah. Now, Schlüsselfeld, what's going on over there in Muncie? They have these Shkede Mark, the little yellow Kutanlach. They don't have those ones, awesome ones. I see you changed your mind. What about you, Rabbi Fiskus? Where are you from? Alabama? I know where you are over there. And they have over there, they have those little Kutanlach. They have the little Shkede Mark, right? Yeah. So those Rabbi say, my friends in the Bedat, Anshel, Zundel, Herring, they tell me those things are deep fried. They are the unhealthiest things on planet Earth. And those things, since they're deep fried, so that's considered like a bishul process. And there we're going to say, Ein bishul like a bishul. You can even put them inside a kli rishon. Ein bishul like a bishul. However, there are other croutons. There are other croutons that don't engage the shnazeh. There are other croutons that aren't like that. Thank you, Rabbi Gutman. But I can't see another. Yeah, those are the. Wait, no, hold that one first. The yellow ones. Those ones, Rabbi Sai, those are awesome. Those are awesome croutons, and they are even mutter and kli rishon. Show us the other one. Right? Not you. Let your son get involved over here. What are you doing? Right? What's this? Yeah. So now, let me see. So those ones like this. Those ones, what are they, Rabbi Sai? So I did a lot of homework today. Fancy people croutons. Those ones, Rabbi Sai, sometimes they're baked and sometimes they're deep fried. It seems to be today that b'derech klal, they're baked and not deep fried. They taste oily. So they take a spray, right? Like deodorant does that, and they spritz all over the thing over there. That, but really, it's a piece of bread that was. This has nafkaminas and Hilchos brachas also, by side, but it was not deep fried. Those guys. The only time generally I find that you get the deep fried ones are the ones with gemacht in the haim, or if you go to a restaurant, maybe those are the deep fried ones, right? Maybe Rabbi Lang has them. I'm not sure, but Al Kapanim, the regular crouton loch that they're selling, I think Rabbi Brownstein's having it for breakfast right now. Those regular ones are not deep fried. They are just pashut baked. They're just baked. Besides, that's mamish the shaila. To take those guys and put them into the kli sheni, says the Mishabura, you have to be machmir. Now, by say, there's an emerdik gazach over here. We're gonna we'll be messiahing with this. There's a emerdik gazach over here. Comes again the Mishabura, and that was the question that Rabbi Rashbesh was asking over here. Comes again the Mishnah Berurah and he says like this. Listen to it, Mishnah Berurah. By say you're going to get a limit now. It's up learning a Mishnah Berurah, how to learn the Rebbe. Listen, Hashimu eschinav shechem. The Mishnah Berurah says like this. He says, "V'kein mashenayagin." It's in the middle of the Mishnah Berurah. You've cut in ma mem hey. V'kein mashenayagin eza noshim. Now you know when the Mishnah Berurah talks about eza noshim, yena menshim. Verstehst? Not so happy with the mention, yeah. So then there's some people. What do? When they make kishoisin chamin miragle behema, yummy. Plus it does. Who knows what that is? No, cha. The feet of the dead cat. Galeta. I'm getting hungry just thinking about it, Rabbi Isai. So they take the pcha, they cut it up. Lachtei chatichas pas. B'kli ular saleim hamorak shalar aglayim mikli rishon habayzai. This is mamish like yontif. It sounds like what they do is they take the pcha juice. Oh, it's like a yontif. They take the juice of the pcha. I'm getting excited. You see him, Wolf. He's having convulsions. They take the juice of the pcha. And then they pour it onto the bread from a kli rishon, right? The cow had been murdered a half an hour ago. The cow is still bubbling over here. And now they pour it straight onto the bread. Says the Mishabura, Lo yafei moisim. They're not doing good. Right? He doesn't mean that they're not eating well. He means they're doing an isser. Of course, it's a wonderful food that they're eating, but they're doing an isser. He says, even if they would do it in a klisheni, even if they would put in the place, they would pour in the pecha juice into the bowl, and they would have their galaretta juice, I don't know, galaretta soup over here, whatever you want to call it. And then they put inside the bread, but that would still be a klisheni. And they're taking bread and they're putting it into a klisheni. Gewalt. Says the Mishabura, listen to the Mishabura. I want to teach you how to learn the Mishabura, Rabbi Isai. Let me hear and clear. Listen to this. Says the Mishabura, Haloi, Kasav Ramah, the Yeshli Zaya Bezeh. Elohim writes a litain pass. What should you do? Listen to the Mishabura's Eitzah. Yamtin ad shalaya yatzaledis by bamarak. You know what you should do? You can have your pshat and eat it, Rabbi say. But what should you do? Wait till the marok is not yatzaledis by anymore. Wait till it's not yatzaledis by. Okay, it says the Mishabura. Or what could you do? Like or use a kaf, use a ladle, and take from the ladle and then pour it into the bowl. And then when you pour the ladle into the bowl, you're going to have now a kli shlishi, pot number 1, ladle number 2, bowl number 3. No, kli shlishi already. Then you don't have to be machmir on yesh bishul achrafia. Adkan. Kommt zu gehen Minchas Yitzchok. The Minchas Yitzchok, the Shoyel asked the Minchas Yitzchok Astira. They asked the Minchas Yitzchok asked the Kasha. The Shoyel asked them, over here the Mishabura seems to tell me that I could take a ladle and I could take out the soup and I put it into my bowl, and now my bowl has a din of a kli shlishi. And this is Negea, every one of us on every Friday night. We have a pot, we took a ladle, we pour it now from the ladle into my bowl. Now my bowl is a kli shlishi. And I want to put in those fancy people croutons. And that would be mutter lefi this Mishnah. So the Shoyel asked the Mishnah from the Mishnah and Sivkot in Pei Zayin, it's Meferish L'chayr not like that. In Mishnah Sivkot in Pei Zayin, the Mishnah discusses the Shaila of a ladle. Mitzvah Shem, one day we'll come back to the Shaila of a ladle, but the Mishnah Mamish brings it the whole Shaila. He says, if it depends if it's on the fire, not on the fire, but he says, if you have a ladle inside the bowl, Yeshoimrim, that ladle has a din of a Kli Rishon, if it's a ladle in the pot. And he says, the Yeshoimrim, Kli Sheni Mikri, he says, Yeshoimrim Dino Ki Kli Rishon, that when you take the ladle, the Kli Reikon, ubefrat, if you leave it in there for a long time, and some say no, some say that it's a Kli Sheni. Dainu, if the ladle is a Kli Sheni, and now when I pour it into the bowl, it'll be a Kli Shlishi. Okay? So, in fact, the Shoyel in the Minchas Yitzchak asked, over there, the Mishabura bring down a sad that the ladle is a Kli Rishon, which means when it gets to my bowl is a Kli Sheni. But Masha'in Kain, by us in the Mishabura, he says that when you take the ladle and you put it in the bowl, so then the ladle is a Kli Sheni, because by the time you get into the bowl, it's a Kli Shlishi. Steer in the Mishabura. So the Minchas Yitzchak answers, which the etzim teretz of the Minchas Yitzchak is very, possible. So the Minchas Yitzchak again says, look, a ladle's a chumrah because it's a whole shaila, it's a suffix. Maybe it is a Kli Sheni. And I'll be moisif. However, there we're discussing what's the status of the ladle. So maybe the status of the ladle when I take it out, maybe she's taka Kli Rishon. But now when you pour it into the next person, so now there's another sad to be makel, because number one, maybe a ladle is really a Kli Sheni, and by the time I got to my bowl, it's a Kli Shlishi. And we're not donning on the actual Matthias in the ladle. We're donning on when it got to my bowl, which is at least a Kli Sheni. So it's Suffolk Kli Sheni, Suffolk Kli Shlishi. Mashengen, when you're dining on the ladle itself, it's Suffolk Kli Sheni, Suffolk Kli Rishon. So maybe that's why he was machmir there. And also, Rabbi say, maybe there's also big chumras over here. We're talking about yesh bishul acharfi as a chumrah. So the Minchas Yitzchak says it's not the worst kasha, right? And therefore, that's why over here the Mishabura is willing to be makel, because it's true ladles a shaila, but there's a makom to be makel because Maisa, we're dining on the bowl, which is suffix sheni, suffix shlishi, and it's a bishul acharfi, afi achar bishul, and that's the pshat in the Mishabura. So says the Minchas Yitzchak. Is Rabbi say that's a shayna pshat, it's a shayna halacha. Aber im pshat in the Mishabura is doch nicht emes. It's not the pshat in the Mishabura. Rabbi say read the Mishabura and you'll see the Mishabura says pshat. Listen to the Mishabura. The Mishabura and Sivkot Meme once again, Rabbi say. The Mishabura talks about these people that he's angry with and that they're taking pshat juice and pouring it straight onto the bread. And he screams at them that you're doing Iyar and it's lo yafe moisim, it's an avei gedola. Listen to the Mishabura. Says the Mishabura, he says, what they're doing is wrong. He says, you know what they should do? You know what they should do? What they should do is they should wait till the soup is not yatzaledes by. That's number one. Number two is like the Mishabura, or they should use a ladle and make it into a Kli Shlishi. Advice, I have a kasha. If the Mishabura as an eitzah of a Kli Shlishi, of taking a ladle, pouring it into my bowl, and then when I use a ladle and I put it into my bowl, he's going to let me put bread in it. What person in his right mind would wait for the first eights of the Mishabura? The Mishabura's first eights is, you know what you should do? You have that bowl of soup. It's Nageos every Friday night. You know what you should do? Take your bowl of soup and wait before you put your kutan bach in. Wait till when? Till it's not Yad Saledis by. Till it's not Yad Saledis by. Was Mishabura trying to kill us? What's he doing? I have a nice hot bowl of soup in front of me. Zog the Mishabura. 1/8 is just wait till it's not Yad Saledis by. Shkoyach. Or you could take a ladle instead of pouring from the pot straight into the bowl. Take a ladle and pour it into your bowl and make your bowl into a kli shlishi. Rabbi say, why would the Mishnah Berurah bring the second eitzah? Why would he bring the first eitzah, which nobody in the world is going to do? So if you read the Mishnah Berurah again, Rabbi Berurah told you why. Listen to the Mishnah Berurah's words. He says, these people are doing Aveira. What they should do is, they should, Elim writes it, if you want to do it, then wait until it's not Yad Saledis by. Zak the Mishnah Berurah, or lekol apachis. At least, Mishnah Berurah is saying with a sigh, a gevein, a mitzaltrarian, Zak the Mishnah Berurah, lekol at least these guys were doing mamish iser. They were pouring boiling hot water straight onto the bread, right? So like the Mishnah Berurah, don't do that. So at least do, if you're not going to be willing to wait, which is what I'm telling you to do. It's like the Mishnah Berurah. So at least you should take a ladle and make it into a suffix kli shlishi. So if you ask the Mishnah Berurah, would the Mishnah Berurah allow this? It doesn't sound like the Mishnah Berurah is so happy with this at all. It doesn't sound like the Mishnah Berurah is so thrilled with this at all. So I just said a Moradik Chumrah from the Mishnah Berurah. If you ask the Mishnah Berurah this Friday night, can I put my yellow shkede marks in? Mishnah Berurah will say, sure, no problem, because ain't Bishul Bishul. But if you ask the Mishnah Berurah, can I put the krutan lach that were baked and not cooked? The Mishnah Berurah will tell you, I'm not thrilled about this. I'm not thrilled. The Mishnah Berurah will tell you, wait till it's not Yad Saledis by, right? Yeah, sure. Or the Kol is at least, he's not thrilled with this. At least don't do that, which they're pouring straight on. Says the Mishnah Berurah, and that's why there's no steer in the Mishnah Berurah. The Mishnah Berurah is telling you, I don't love it, but I know it's a machlekes and I know it's a suffix. So therefore, there's a makom at least to be makel. The kol hapachas do that. Don't do what you were doing. Don't pour the boiling hot water straight onto the bread. But at least take a ladle and make it into a shiloh of a kli shlishi. Plus, like we said, it's a shiloh of bishul achrafia. Now I must tell you, the minchas yitzchak l'chayra is a glat cheshbon. And you have to know why the Mishnah Berurah was being so machmir. And somebody that wants to do like the Minchas Yitzchak and this eitz of the Mishnah Berurah, you can't say he's doing an Aveda. But Al Kapanim, the Mishnah Berurah himself, in Pshat in the Mishnah Berurah, you see, he doesn't love it. But I'll be Messiah with one interesting thought. Rabbi say, we're going to have to talk one day about how much is Yad Saledis by. How much is Yad Saledis by? You know, there's going to be numbers and cheetahs and everything. But I want to just tell you something very interesting. Very interesting. Let's say you want to have this chumrah. You want to have this chumrah of the Mishnah Berurah. And you want to say, you know what, the Mishnah Berurah is mashma. Don't put the krutan lach in until when? Until it's Yad Saledis, until it's not Yad Saledis. Rabbi say, I'm going to tell you now a shita of the most, I guess we'll call it mekel dika Yad Saledis by, right? I'll tell you a shita now of the most mekel dika Yad Saledis by. Right now, I'm not saying, Rabbi Isai, that this is the halacha l'maisa, not by a long shot of what's Yad Saledis by. Okay, but klape the shaila we're speaking about, that in the first place maybe ein bishul acharfia, maybe it's a kli shlishi because it's a ladle, and the minchas yitzchak was mekel lechatchila. So I'm going to just tell you a sheet over here, so that even if you want to do like the Mishnah Berurah and wait till it's Yad Saledis by. So I'm going to tell you a shita of what is, you should know is a lot of the achreinim. It's just that when you're going to get to the halacha and ma'aser of Yad Saledis by, it doesn't seem to be that any of the heintikas went with this, and it's based on the Igros Moshe has a tshuva in Chelik Aleph. He has a tshuva about dentures, and he's discussing over there. Do you have to kasher your dentures between milchiks, fleishiks, whatever? So Moshe says dentures, false teeth. He says, don't worry about it. There's no blias. No blias. Why no blias? He says, because what are you talking? Any food that you put into your mouth is not Yad Saledis by. Whoa. Any food you put into your mouth, that's Yad. Okay, so I thought it was like in Igros Moshe, that maybe is hard to understand. Then I saw where in the Ben Ish Chai, the son of the live one. The Ben Ish Chai is in Parshas Boy. I'll read you his lashon because it's just fabulous. The Ben Ish Chai. It's a fabulous chiddush, Rabbi. I'm not saying, and again, If you quote me on this, I'll deny it, Rabbi Say, because these are not the lichatchila dikashitas of Yatzaledis by. I'm only saying it as a tziruf because we're trying to get anyways a cool over the year copy what's called Yatzaledis by. But the Ben Ish Chai says, he says, "V'din chamin sheYatzaledis by ein misharim be'etzba." Don't put your finger luch into it. You should never put your fingers in food. It's just not beseder. Ella kol shekreisa shel tinok nichvis bem. That's Yatzaledis by. What you got to do is you got to get a gemach of babies, right? And that's the eights of fig. That's already. That's not, most people are not going to be cool with that. It's probably not good for the press. It's not so good. Says it's a Ben Ish Chai. How are you supposed to know such a thing? So he says, hold this klal in your hand. If anytime you have food and drink, which you can eat, it's not hot enough. It's not too hot that you can't drink it. That's already not Yatzaledis. But if you can't drink it because it's too hot, that's already if it's too hot, and that's why you can't drink it, that's Yatzaledis. Rabbi say, you ever see the Svardish guy in the shul with that cup of tea and the coffee? You ever see the Svardish guy in the mikvah when he goes into the hot mikvah that boils the chickens? You know what I'm talking about, Rabbi Elbaz? Right? Ziddo, you know what I'm talking about over there? Yeah. That guy, he can take the heat fregnished, right? These guys, it's unbelievable. And he's saying, the Ben Ish Chai is saying that if you can drink it, that's already not called Yatzaledis by it. By side, that's ganz fine, could be 180 degrees. It could be ganz hot, that thing, right? And the Darkei Tshuva in Yoyra Deya, in Siman Kufay, he brings down from, where did I see this? I saw it today in Yoyra Deya, in Siman Kufay. He brings down from the Minchas Shai, Neugin Amoidim, that the Zugen in Yiddish, what the Darkei Tshuva gewein Epsachsid Shiyid, the Minkacher, and the Gesucht from the Taka from the Minchas Shai, it's Neugin Amoidim. The Moigen, they fragen the mention to Kentis Essen when they have shilas. So what do they say when they want to know? So when you're Yatzaledis or nicht Yatzaledis, they fragen the mention, the Freien Taka, they say, so Kentis Essen Taka, did you have to blow on it? Those are the questions that they ask. Those are the questions they ask. Now, I say the Abia Oyman Chelik Gimel Kukov Dalet, and we're going to talk about this Bariches. This Rai is not like this by say, but this Friday night, when you want to know, can I take my ladle, pour it into my bowl? And now, first of all, maybe she's a klishlishi. And second of all, maybe ein bishul achar afiyah. And third of all, I'm able to eat the soup. And it's not something that I don't eat because it's too hot. And now you want to put inside the krutan lach? No. So we can falazech, so we can mekel, we can essen gesinte heit, Rabbi say. Let me just say one thing on the parsha. Danny, can I ask you to just tell me, first of all, how many minutes I have exactamundo? Is it 7 minutes?
Stop the recording. I'm starting the recording again. The Rabbi has 20 minutes off now.
Okay, I'll go for 10 minutes. Let me just say, Rabbi say, there's a medrash in this week's parsha, in the beginning of Bechukoisai. Right? I know we've been out of shul for so long, so nobody knows what parsha we're up to, Rabbi say. But Medav Halting Stark in the Shtayim Mikra, and this week is a double parsha, Rabbi say. Listen to the words of the medrash. The medrash says, "In Bechukoisai telechu, hohechi dami." What does it mean to go in the ways of Torah? Go in the derech, in the telechu of Torah. Says the medrash in Tehillim Kuf Yutes. Says Adonenu David HaMelech, Heishavti derachai ve'ashiva ragli el edoisecha. Omar David. Says David HaMelech, Ribono shel Olam, b'chol yoim v'yoim hayisi mechashiv. Every single day, I would think to myself, ve'omer l'mokim ploini. You know where I'm going today? I'm going to that place, lebeis dira, to that person, to visit that fellow. And every day, ayu raglai mevias oisi lebate knetzias lebate medrashes. But what would happen? My feet take me to the Beis HaMedrash. Every day I woke up and I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that, but my feet take me to the Beis Medrash. That's what it says. Vashiva ragli el edoisecha. That I have taken my legs to go to edoisecha. Rabbi say, I read this Medrash and I had a pasha de kasha. I think we all have this kasha. Rabbi say, every day David HaMelech woke up and said, I don't want to go to the Beis Medrash. Every single day. If I say, even some of us sometimes wake up in the morning, today I want to go to the Beis Medrash. Adonenu David, the Halach of David HaMelech, David, Rabbi said, the Halach of David HaMelech, if David HaMelech would be here, we would die on the spot from the Kedusha. And every day, David HaMelech woke up and said, I got to go here, I got to go there, I got to go everywhere. Never, ever did David HaMelech wake up and say, today I really want to go to the base medrash. It's a Bella. And not only that, Rabbi said, to compound on the Shaila, what pasuk does the medrash bring? The pasuk the medrash brings is Ve'shavti drachai v'ashiva ragli elei desecha, right? V'ashiva ragli elei desecha. Sorry, ashiva ragli. Rabbi say, we Americans, we don't know dikduk so well, but the word ashiva ragli means that I decided to go to the base medrash. So David HaMelech says, every morning I woke up, I didn't want to go to the base medrash. But what could I do? My feet take me to the base medrash. I didn't want to go. But what can I do? My feet take me to the base medrash. Then the Gemara brings, the medrash brings, so what's the pasuk? And the pasuk is that David HaMelech took his feet and brought them to the base medrash. So the whole medrash doesn't read. First of all, do you think that David HaMelech woke up every single morning and never had a tzad to go to the base medrash? Number one. And number two, what happened? Poor David HaMelech, his feet took him to the base medrash. That's not true. The pasuk says not that his feet took him to the base medrash. It said that David HaMelech took his feet and brought them to the base medrash. So the pasuk says fakert. Very strange. It's like a big pella, Rabbi say. One shaila. Another shaila is that now that unfortunately I'm not with the oil, I'm not with the base medrash. So I started to look into what they call the Svarim HaKadoshim. There's a reason why people like me don't read Svarim HaKadoshim, because I don't understand them. They're all mekubalim, and they talk about how every part of the Teichacha, it's all bracha. All the mikubalim that I looked into, I don't have too many mikubalim here. And most of mine are like, mikubalim for dummies with the explanation on the bottom and everything. But all of them talk about how the Teichacha is filled and packed with bracha, 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 bracha. The worst Kallus. And they show you how the worst Kallus, all bracha, 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 bracha. It's like, it's a bunch of murder chiddush. I could understand that Yisurin build a person, and I can understand that Yisurin is taken Gan Eden, it's worth a lot. But to say that all the Kallus, it's really bracha. It's mamish, all the Kallus bracha, and that it's all badekt, it's all covered up, it's all hidden bracha. All the teichachos, all the all the svarim, all the sifrei mekubalim and the svarim hakadoshim, it's a pele gedola. If I tell you what I think is the pshat, I'm going to tell you what I think is the pshat. The pshat is Rabbi say that the Rebbeinu Shalom, every time he gives a person a challenge in health, sometimes in menuchas nefesh, a challenge with nisyonis, a challenge in Torah and difficulty in parnasa, difficulty in every aspect of life, whatever it is, every challenge, a difficult marriage situation, difficult children situation, every challenge that the Rebbeinu Shalom gives, in shidduchim for shteitzach, in every situation that the Rebbeinu Shalom gives a challenge, in the challenge, he gives you the energy in the challenge to be able to not just overcome the challenge, but every challenge that's within it, a koyach, an energy, which has the ability to not just overcome the challenge, but to make the person great. That's what a challenge is. That's our emunah. That's what a challenge is. We all know that the Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, the Iyar Reb Shimon Bar Yochai was just now, and there was by us, we all know, what we grew up with, the pictures of Shimon Bar Yochai and the bows and arrows, What's the symbol of the bow and arrow? The bow is something that you pull it back, and it looks like it's getting further away from the destination. It's going the opposite direction of the destination. And then what happens? With all that you pulled it back, because it was so far back, so when the arrow shoots out, it goes much further. And all of the koyach, and all of the accomplishment, and all of the energy, the tzlacha came from where? From the exact opposite, from going in the fakerta direction of the bow, the fakerta direction of the arrow. All of the challenges have within them the koyach to not just overcome, but to go far away, to go much further, much further. And Rabbi say, I saw this the other day. We made a little madurala, a little bonfire by us in the backyard over here. And so what happened? So my kids, they know oil and fire, and that's what's going to make the fire. I told them, no, that's a big mistake. First of all, it's dangerous. And second of all, it's not true. No, they want to see. I said, watch. I took the oil and I poured on the fire. And then you see the oil shoots up. They say, you see? Second later, gone. Okay? So now I showed them like this. I took a piece of there was like a hard piece of like a coal. I took a coal and I put it on the little fire that we made. And Betsim, it looked like look what you're doing. They said, Ty, you're putting out the fire. Watch. that thing which is putting out the fire, slowly, slowly puts out the fire, then gives it chapsach the fire, chapsach more, and then dafka flares. The energy to burn the fire comes from that thing which looks like it was putting out the fire. That's the side that the Rebbeinu Shalom, in every single challenge that the Rebbeinu Shalom gives, he gives you the energy not just to overcome, but to go and accomplish and to become great. Is Rabbi say, first of all, doesn't the pshat over here in the Medrash? Rabbi say, Adonenu David, every day he had Yetzaharas, and every day he had challenges. So what did Adonenu David do? He fought and fought and fought against the Yetzer, to not go to the Beis Medrash. David had difficult life, difficult with children, difficult with in-laws, difficult in Torah. David HaMelech had it difficult in every which way. David HaMelech had it difficult with siblings, difficult in every which way. And what did David HaMelech do? He constantly, that's what David HaMelech is, David Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kaim, he's Malchus. And he constantly fights and fights, it doesn't matter. David HaMelech kept on pushing. No matter how difficult the challenge is, David HaMelech fight. The energy that David HaMelech drew from the challenge made David HaMelech so incredible, so great. Is Rabbi says, so David HaMelech, every morning I wake up, and every single morning I want to go here, I want to go there. What did David HaMelech mean? Avada David HaMelech wanted to go to Bate Midrashim. But David HaMelech is telling us, where did I get the koyach to be able, that the mitzias of my legs take me to Beis Medrash? They came because when I woke up, there were such challenges. And those challenges, what were they trying to do? To take me away from the Beis Medrash. That's where I got the energy from, to go bedafka to the Beis Medrash, to go bedafka to the extent that my legs took me on my own. But the pshat in the pasuk is that David HaMelech did it. Every day, David HaMelech, the koyach to go to the Beis Medrash came goofa from the challenge, Rabbi Isai. And that's why Taka in all of these klalis, there are hidden brachas, because there's the challenges, especially the ones that we're in now. They are hidden brachas, Rabbi Isai. They have energy within them that could make us great. You know, they all ask a kasha that HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes, says, "Nish fair." He comes to the other goyim and he says to him, "You want the Halachos of Torah?" So he goes to the worst murderers in the whole world. How many people did Edom kill? Millions and millions and millions and millions, if not billions of people over the last 2,000 years. They killed so many millions of people. And he comes and he says to them, "You want the Torah?" What does it say in Torah? Lo sirtzach. It's not fair. It's not fair. We're murderers. It's not fair. What was the Rebbeinu Shalom telling them? The Rebbeinu Shalom was telling them, "Do you want the Torah?" And they're saying, "No, but it says we're murderers." You don't understand. If I'm going to give you the Torah, and the Torah says lo sirtzach, so that within the Torah is going to be giving you the energy and the koyach, that you will not be the reitzchim and fakert, you'll be the greatest people in the world. And I'm going to give you that ability through accepting Torah. What did Kallus say? Nasiv and Ishma. We have every issue. We have every Yetzirah. Give us all the koyach and all the challenges to be able to become great. And in every single challenge, the Rebbeinu Shalom gives us the koyach to become great. In these days, Rabbi Say, you have to remind ourselves of this, because as we get into Kimat, I told somebody today, he asked me if I'll come to his chasana. I told him I haven't left the house in 8 weeks. 8 weeks. I told him, he said, "You haven't left the house?" I said, "I went to the garbage." Right? So, but I haven't left the Kimat the block in 8 weeks. And then you hear these things, you think, what this is going to make me better? This is going to make a person grow. He hasn't gone to Minyan. He hasn't gone to Beis Medrash. He hasn't been able to do chesed, to give a shmeichel to other people, to give a person a little bit of life. The answer is, if the challenge is so big, then the energy that comes out of such a challenge is going to be so enormous and so fabulous that it will definitely be moil us for the rest of our lives. As Eibusha Elfin Taka, Bez Hashem, we'll be zeicha to be back together again in Yerushalayim, Iyar Kodesh. Shabbos, Rabbi Say, thank you for another wonderful week of Torah Kedosha. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, Bez Hashem, at 5 o'clock, 10 o'clock your time. I'll tell you a short thing on the Parsha, but Bez Hashem, Rabbi Say, we'll be together again. Yerushalayim Iyar Kodesh. Don't forget that when you say Mikdash Melech Ir Melucha, you think about Yerushalayim Iyar Kodesh that cries every single day because he wants its Talmidim to come back to her. He wants to come back. He wants you all to come back to Yerushalayim Iyar Kodesh. I guess you should start now trying and making the shtadlis to come back to Yerushalayim Iyar Kodesh. Mit the letter from the Koilel. None the letter. Just start with the Shtadlis. Let's get back to Yerushalayim. Iyar Kodesh Bez Hashem Rabbi Yisai. So talking about getting Shabbos. Unmute my holy brothers, Danny, so I could say good Shabbos to them.
Unmute yourself.
Shabbos Rabbi Yisai.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Shabbos, Rabbi.
Shabbos.
Shabbos Rabbi Yisai. I'll see you tomorrow, 10 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Sorry, on Sunday night.
Shabbos, Rabbi.
Australian time,
Shabbos.
I don't even know.
Shabbos.
Shabbos, Rabbi. Good
Shabbos,
Shabbos.
Shabbos,
Shabbos,
Rabbi
Rabbi.
Brownstein. Good Shabbos, Perkovsky. Chaim Stefanski, be careful. There's somebody on your left. Careful. Rabbi Hershov, what happened to the beard?
The girls didn't like it. I tried. The shidduchim just weren't coming. Nothing was coming in, so I had to.
The cleaning lady, Rabbi.
I told you I'm going to find you somebody.
So, Rabbi, what's Rabbi waiting for?
Rabbi Blinder, I'm missing one of the girls. Where's the other? What's going on here? We're missing one. We're missing one of the girls.
Shabbos, Rabbi. Good
Rabbi
Shabbos.
Rosenberg, good Shabbos.
Shabbos, good
Thank
Shabbos.
you. Call me in 10 minutes. I know you're trying to call me. Nussi, good Shabbos.
Shabbos, Rabbi.
Rabbi Lang, good Shabbos. Who made that picture? Oh, very nice picture. Oh, nice. Rabbi Greenberg, good Shabbos. Ben, tell Abba I said good Shabbos. Rabbi
Good
Fulda,
Shabbos.
good Shabbos. Rabbi Udakin, other Rabbi Udakin.
Shabbos, good Shabbos.
Shabbos, Rabbi.
Rabbi Blinder, you're missing one of the kids. You better go out and find her. Rabbi Elbaz, Shabbat Shalom u'Mivarach. Shabbat Shalom. Rabbi Strom, I saw your brother last night at a different shir.
Shabbos, Rabbi.
Good Shabbos, Yehuda. Toli, don't forget to daven Shachris. Good Shabbos, Rabbi Rosenberg. Good Shabbos, Rabbi Engelstein. Good Shabbos, Reb Shalom